Hello, myself Dr. Kaushik Kalda, and today's topic is how design thinking aids in making appropriate rational decision, a characteristic of effective leadership. So, decision making. What is decision making? As per the definition that is described in Wiki, in psychology, decision making is regarded as the cognitive process resulting in selection of belief or a course of action among several possible alternate options. It could be either heuristic or rational. So decision making again is distinguished into heuristic or rational. Heuristic, it is nothing irrational, we can say. So it can be heuristic or rational. So now if we try to understand like how our brain works at a time like making the decision, so there are mainly two parts of our brain which are mainly involved in making the decision. One is the prefrontal cortex, which is residing the top or front side of the brain. Another is hippocampus, which is there behind the ear. So they are the most critical part of human brain for taking decision making. If we take one at a time, like prefrontal cortex, we sometimes also say like PFC, intelligently regulates our thoughts, actions, emotions through extensive connections with other brain regions. Few functions of PFC are like body regulation, emotional balance, response flexibility, empathy, insight, fear modulation, intuition, and the hippocampus has a major role. If we come to hippocampus has a major role in learning and memory. It is a complex brain structure embedded deep into temporal lobe. So if we take again the brain, it works in four different stages as discussed previously, like PFC, which is prefrontal cortex, and hippocampus are the most critical part of human brain for decision making. The decision making process contains four steps. The first step, some initial stimuli produced by sensory inputs excite a set of hippocampal neurons as part of the neural system. In second step, a set of secondary stimuli arrives in the hippocampus and the stimulus-driven neural response is produced as initial information for two entry stimulus sets in the hippocampus. The third step, the initial information is sent to PFC. The PFC determines the additional required information and retrieves complementary information from hippocampus. The last step, the PFC decides the proposed controlling process in this study. However, there is a mutual communication between PFC and hippocampus with neural connectivity. This is just for our knowledge, like how the brain works at a time of decision making. As discussed, like decision making is divided in two parts. One is rational, another is heuristic. So what is rational decision making? It is a procedure utilizing objective knowledge and logic. It involves identifying the problem to solve, gathering facts, identifying options and outcomes, analyzing them, considering all the relationships, and selecting the best decisions. Now, if we take an example of purchasing a car, now think of a scenario like if we have went into market purchasing a car, we usually do not purchase the car based on the brand name or model name. We get into n number of facts. The facts are like what is the configuration of the engine, how the body of the car is made up of, what is the safety measures being taken, what is the ground clearance is there. In number of facts we take in consideration. We take in consideration where we stay, and based on that, and the family we have, number of families we have, the purpose for which we are going to take this car. So in number of facts that come into picture, and then probably we go for an investing into car. So that is something rational thinking. We take all possible facts, figures, we take the requirements in front, we try to see the facts, figures which matches best to our requirement, and then we go ahead and purchase the car. That is a rational way of purchasing, or rational way of taking the decision. Heuristics is the process by which humans use mental shortcut to arrive decision. Heuristics are simple strategies that humans make to take decision and find solution to complex problem. The literature or the definition is taken and tailored from Wiki. If we take the example of purchasing a book, say if I am willing to purchase a book on a particular content and that content is new to me, and anything that is related to tea, related to that particular content is actually new. Now, the thing is be it author, be it publisher, be it any theories or literature that is associated with that particular content is quite new to me. Now, making a decision of purchasing a book, rational things, if again rational things are not available to that extent, then probably we may have to take the help of heuristic. The heuristic simple strategies probably say if we are into Amazon purchasing a particular book of that content, and say there are a couple of authors and publishers are there, and it is really hard to make a decision which particular author we should go ahead with, or which particular publishers we need to go ahead with. And as because if anything that is related to that content, as said, is new, then probably with little bit whatever the facts are there, like number of pages, ranking of that particular book, and cost of that book, probably this, which may not be directly inclined to the content that is present in the book, but this associated details might help us in taking a decision, which is fairly a heuristic thing. Daniel Kahneman, who is Nobel laureate, in his book Thinking Fast and Slow, has shared the details on two different ways of working of a brain, that is system 1 and system 2. System 1 is intuition, system 2 is rational, and distinguished, like how system 1 and system 2 are distinguished. Like system 1 is fast, system 2 takes data to analyze, hence it is slow. System 1 may not always require the data, hence it is qualitative. System 2 takes facts and figures to take a call, hence it is quantitative. System 1 may have potential to go multiple at one go. System 2, it goes sequential because it is a logical programming, and once after completing one, it goes to the other. System 1, it doesn't require much of effort. System 2, it requires the effort. System 1 is based on emotions. System 2, it depends on facts and figures and not on emotions, hence it is neutral. System 1, it may be from unconscious mind. System 2, it is from conscious mind. Now, are we heuristic? So let me tell you, nothing is bad. Taking a decision from heuristic or rational, at times, as taken the example, we may have to take call based on heuristic. So now, this is just an example to know if we are heuristic or not. Which line is bigger? So usually we say the blue line is bigger, as because we say the wings are pointed outside, but ideally the length of the lines are same. It is Muller-Lyer illusion, which is quite famous. Now, how Design thinking addresses the need of rational decision making. So these are the topics what we will be covering, and it has been segregated in 4 different stages. The first one, defining the problem. The second one is vision cone, based on which future is being defined. Then the critical part of the program is being defined. And the last one is to explore alternatives. Let's go one at a time. Defining the problem statement. The tool discussed below are supposed to be practiced in a group, but here mostly we'll be practicing for individual. If we take the first one, the problem statement. So think of a scenario like when in an organization a requirement comes. So what is the first thing we do? The only document that what we have is the artifact that has been given to us. So to be on the same page, we go through the document and point down the points in the artifact or the document that need to be discussed further. We also point down with all the possible questions related to the sessions that is related to the sections that is present in that particular document to be discussed. So we say a particular document has come on a particular issue which is occurring quite frequently. So we come up with that particular if you need to come up with questions related to that particular issue, we say what that kind of issue is, why that issue exists, when usually it exists, how it is existing. So these are all few questions usually we come up with to have a deeper and multidimensional knowledge on that particular requirement or on that particular issue. Now the thing is this is an organizational need. The thing may also be for ourselves. So the requirement may be based on self-requirement and it is not an organizational need. Now the thing is we may need to come up with various thought process, various ideas or various artifacts which may help us in taking the call. Now say again, if we take the call of purchasing an car, probably whatever the documents, it may not be always the physical documents, it may be the literature or the details which is present in the internet also. So following the internet document or whatever the documents which present with us, we go through it and then we try to come up with next level of questions. It is not after going through the document we take a call of purchasing the car. We go for a next level of questionnaires or next level of analyzing the data. So this is an initial phase of defining the problem statement. Analysis, this is based on questions builder. So this particular tool, it simulates fishbone theory, which has been developed by Japanese professor Karao Ishikawa, which shows the potential cause of the specific event. The tool helps in identifying relevant factors of influence. At the center, we define the subject and we try to define that particular subject being associated with multiple or related features. Now these features can be again subdivided to sub-features as well. Once we have all the list of features and sub-features, even the sub-features can have sub-features also. We now try to drill down to the point which particular thing that need to be discussed or which particular thing that need to be taken into consideration for further discussion. If we take the example can be infotainment of a car. So in the infotainment of a car, what are all the things that are associated with that one? So probably the sound system, woofer, So in the sound system, there are speakers, hoofers are there. So how many speakers are there? So 6 speakers are there. Hoofers, how many hoofers are there? What is that particular infotainment, from which brand it is related to? So these are all the features which is associated with infotainment. And on this, like if we need to discuss on a particular topic, now say if I want to discuss on the Bluetooth of that, or say if I want to discuss with the touch screen, touch sensitive, sorry, if we want to discuss on the touch sensitivity of the particular infotainment, then probably like we need to take that particular subject for further discussion. Why and how lettering is reframing of a question. Sometimes we try to come up with a question, but it may not be the actual question representing the issue. So it for a design thinker, it is their responsibility to reframe that particular question and need to be at same page with the stakeholder. Now, if we take an example, like a discussion between mother and a son. Son wants to purchase an expensive pen before the exam. He further wants to convince his father, as finance for that pain would come from him, definitely. At same time, he knows convincing his father is very tough and he is very rational and will require facts for every reason. Now let us find out how this, how and why laddering works. So what is a pain area here? The pain area is how might we convince father to purchase an expensive pen. So that is the pain area. So pain area, the son wants to purchase the pen, but only challenge what he finds is convincing his father. So that is his pain area. So that is the subject. That is the subject. Now, looking into that subject, we'll try to ask question why and how related to that particular why. There can be n number of iterations can be there. Usually it doesn't go beyond 6 iterations. So n number of iterations can be there. And after the iteration completes, we'll try to analyze and find out, does really the discussions that happened is speaking to what the subject is underlined, or the subject is something different. That is, what is the subject? That is the requirement. That is the pain area. So the thing is, like, the subject may change, means the requirement may change. It is a reframing of the requirement. Okay, so let us go ahead and try to understand how it works. So what is the pain area for son right now? It is convincing father for purchasing an expensive pen. So the first question probably it will be coming to son is, why that pen is good? Son may say, how that pen is good. That is smooth writing, scientific weight, good gripping. It is expected to help in exam. That is how it is expected to help son. Then again, question may come, why? Why the writing is good? Again, the explanation for that why would be the pen tip is made up of platinum, which is not only made to write on any kind of paper, and it retains smoothness. So that is how that nib is good, that pen is good. So coming to this why and how laddering, do you think the problem statement, it is revolves around convincing the father, or it is something else? Something else, or the requirement of the son would be something else. That is, how might we have good experience in writing an exam? Probably that is his requirement. His requirement is not to have an expensive pen. His requirement is not to convince father. His requirement would be revolving around this. His requirement would be around revolving around how might he get a good experience in writing in exam. So that is what like son is actually looking into, but he's failing to come up with his proper requirement. And this why and how lettering is actually helping in reframing the requirement. What is this how and why lettering actually? It is actually what we say is like every statement. You might have seen over here as well. How might we have good experience in writing an exam? So the first three letters usually it remains the same throughout the process of reframing the questions. So that is how might we. So what is how? So how usually it represents the possible ways of solving the questions or challenge. Might, it is safe space where the potential idea might work. We reminds us as a teamwork. It is as a team. So that is how like how might we is the initial phrase being used in how and why lettering. Next is 5xy. That is again a iterative process of using y on a particular subject. Subject here I mean to say is the pain area, problem, issue, or the requirement of the stakeholder. So 5x means asking 5 times y on a particular question. Now say engine of an car, why it is good. Again, if I say like it is having this much horsepower, this facts, in number of other details. Again, I may say like uh, why that horsepower is high. Why again something else? Why that torque is very high? Why that particular like why that engine is having 2 cylinders or why that engine is having 4 cylinders? So I may come up with n number of whys. So usually we may need not have to go more than 5 whys. Usually it happens so like even before like we go for 5 times y, we have the answer or all possible answers with us. So but at time we may have to go beyond that also to get our answer. Now just what we discussed for the engine of an car, like why that engine is good, why that horsepower is high, why that torque is high, why that engine is having multiple cylinders like 4 cylinders or anything, just as an example I have been taking. So with that like the same questions has been portrayed over here, like why the problem is happening, why the problem is impacting the client, why should the problem prioritized, why the problem has dependencies. So these are all the whys which give us multi-dimensional facts for us to take a call for, or multi-dimensional facts to for us to understand the problem in a better way. The next tool is 5W1H questions. This is somewhat similar with 5XY, but instead of that, like here we'll have different levels of questions. Like we'll use 5W, that is one is what, who, why, when, where, and H is how. So what is the problem? If a problem is there, then what is the problem? Who is impacted by the problem? Why that problem is occurring? When that problem is occurring, where is the journey or the problem is having dependency, and how best the problem can be resolved. So this is how like the questions are framed around that particular requirement or pain area to get again the facts or the acknowledgement from different dimensions to understand that particular problem in a better way. So in a way it helps in finding the reason or proposals, define in brainstorming, it helps in finding abstract potential for creative work. Here, brainstorming has to be done with self if the problem is self defined and it is not an organizational requirement. It is a celebration that usually occurs. That brainstorming usually is a celebration if the problem is self related. Dot voting. Dot voting is actually it is a process based on which the ideas related to the problem are prioritized. So all the ideas related to that particular problem are collected. Once it is collected, it is it passes through n number of other questionnaires, and then a pyramid is made. The pyramid at base level, they are least prioritized. The one at middle level, they are moderately prioritized, and the one at the top are highest prioritized. So each of the idea, they need to be voted. Voted means dot voted. Like if the ideas, if there are n number of ideas are there, then but if it is an organization, then each people, they are supposed to vote each of the idea, say ranking between 1 2 3. 1 is the highest prioritized, 2 is the moderately prioritized, and 3 is the best level. So with that, each of the idea needs to be prioritized, and once the voting is done, then the ideas are collected, clustered between three different groups: 1 rating, 2 rating, 3 rating. I said 1 is the highest priority, and the third is the least priority. So with that, like the pyramid is built. So it is a process how it is been carried out at organization level, but if the issue or the problem or the requirement itself, like purchasing of a car, say I have 4 listed cars. In this listed cars of 4, I need to purchase one. So the thing is, like, whatever the thought process is there related to 4 different cars, like engine, car 1, what is that particular engine it is having, car 2, what is that engine it is having, car 3, what is the engine it is having. Again, uh, it is the decision has to be taken based on both heuristic and rational. So I need to come up with all the facts, all the ideas, all the thought process that is coming up. And also I need to come up with my emotions. Like, say, I have some affection towards particular brand. So with that, and my family is having some affection towards a particular brand, or they have liked a particular car. So we may have to take those attributes also as a part of our consideration. So the thing is, like, that is our self call, and that is how, like, we'll be voting our thoughts. Vision code. So in vision code, it is something like looking into past, we decide what is the present that is happening, and looking into the past and present, we decide for the future. Vision code. Here, the organization plans or create goals for future looking into past and present. The tool helps in connecting current problem with its history. If we take an example, being in company, if we are targeting for next quarter, we have to study the past market and the present responses what we are getting from the market as well. Vision code. Again, like if we take that for our self issues or acknowledging to our self requirement, then let us take an example, that is taking admission in an university. University usually doesn't look into the present or future marks for the exam which I have or we have appeared and waiting for the exam results. It also looks into the past history of that candidate by taking into account like extracurricular activities, what other activities, or probably in NGOs they have participated to give back to society. So it is how like they have impacted society based on the present knowledge they have. So they look into the past also. Critical item diagram. Define the critical elements based on the challenges, threat towards organization goal. It's after the visual cone analysis, the data gathered regarding the problem is further analyzed towards the criticality of the requirement. The criticality of the requirement needs to be addressed by how and why lettering. So the criticality is again decided based on various dimensions. It may be the client is giving prioritization to this particular requirement, may have impact directly on their revenue. It may also happen so like we are looking for some expertise in this particular area, and hence it is critical. So this criticality may be uh, based on three different dimensions, what we had discussed in our fundamental of design thinking. It may be a part of the requirement, it may be business point of view, it may be technology point of view. So apart from that, we also have important experiences. What are all the important experiences that may help client to have a better experience? We may also have something that is uh, like for future requirement, like what are all the things that might help client or add value to client in the future, like if we have those things in our uh, development. We may also need to come up with the important functions that may be requiring as part of either business or technology to acknowledge the need of the requirement. So this is again, uh, if we take this thing as part of our self requirement, like purchasing of a car, what is the criticality? Now think like if both the cars, now out of four, we have zot down to two cars, and the two cars are actually at par with all the facts, figures, and emotions. Now we need to take a call out of it. So the thing is like we that is a critical way of taking a call. So again, probably like we have to have the emotions measured, we have to have other facts, other latent facts, which might be present with one and might be not present with the other, and based on which like we'll be taking a call. We also may need to have the experiences in all dimension, like talking, starting from the talking to the the person who has given us the demo, to the service or the post purchase service that we are expecting. So all the aspects we are taking into account. We may also need to see like how it is uh, like for future, if we want to upgrade to some other car, like how this car is going to help us, what is the exchange value and all. Like probably like we may also need to take care few of the attributes. I'm just taking a very high level example to make you understand like how this tool can help us at our personal level. Few important functions, it is again a very personal thing, like probably like I'll be looking for the most safety features. So how many airbags it is giving, if ABS is there or not in that car, and what other driver assist facilities are there or not. A number of things that need to be taken into account to prioritize our thought process, or when we try to compare with the other thing. So this is how like we take this tool at our personal level to it is not like it is the first time like we will be taking this tool. Unconsciously we have been taking this tool and we have been practicing this one, but by understanding this, what we can do is like we'll be more disciplined, and probably like we'll be taking a call with a very structured way. Now this is the trained analysis. So in this trained analysis, the first is the clustering. clustering of the like features. Now say there are a number of ideas are there, and as said, like the ideas may be revolving around different dimensions. It may be safety of the car, it may be infotainment, it may be the mileage of the car, it may be on the engine, it may be on the look of the car, it may be the color of the car. So there are a number of features are there. So it has to be clustered in different uh, heads. Like if the first one, if I say the look and feel, so on the look and feel, the color, the look, the texture of the car seats, etc., may come into picture. Infotainment, the sound system, woofer, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, touch screen, etc., may come into picture. Engine, the technology part of that particular car will come into picture. Safety, a number of airbags, ABS, other features that may come into picture. So these are all the ideas, or these are all the features that are coming under a head of a particular topic. So the topic is purchase of a car. Under the purchase of the car, my need would be a number of things like look and feel would be good, safety is good, mileage is good, infotainment good. So what are all the things or attributes that add value to this particular requirement are part of our clustering. So it is the find of it also helps, it also helps it's like this is something like what we discuss is as part of our personal requirement. Now, if we take this as a part of our organizational requirement, if we happen to cluster the like uh, issues or like requirements, we may sometime find a kind of a trend that might have happened to a particular cluster in the past. Now, say I'm saying in a production support in an IT industry, say a particular job has failed, and that particular job is coming into a particular domain or particular cluster, and it is seen like the issue it faced by that particular cluster has been faced by some other job in other domain. So the thing is like this might help in getting the issue resolved by finding a trend that is been followed by a particular cluster. So that is at organizational level. Context mapping. Context mapping is very interesting. It's kind of a structured metaphorical thinking. Metaphors are considered as a sign of genius by Greek philosopher Aristotle. According to him, the individual who can perceive the similarity between two different concepts was intelligent and had a special gift. So usually what is that, like in universe or at a sky or in the dark night sky, usually in the dark night sky when you see seven stars, we say that to be Satrishi, as if seven sages sitting together. So we are trying to find a context between two different universes, which ideally has no connection between these two. So the thing is like we try to get this context to find a proper solution for if at all there is any issue or problem is there. Like if we take an example, happened with me a few at long time back. Like I was supposed to do a sketch with pencil shading, and the shading was supposed to be done with charcoal. At that point of time, I was not having any charcoal with me. What I did is like I burned a vessel. The black part of that vessel I had rubbed in a paper and used that paper for shading. And that worked to some extent for shading. So that is how like I tried to find a context between a charcoal and the black part or the burnt part of a vessel. The thing is like that is how like the context has been drawn at organizational level. At once the clusters have been made, and if a issue is faced at a particular cluster, we try to find the context that might have been faced by other dimensions or other universe. There was a well-known example by General Motor. This example is also there in their site. The issue is one gentleman long back, had said, like at the time, like when he drives his car to purchase vanilla ice cream, his engine doesn't take start. Rather, if he is trying to purchase some other flavored ice cream, he faces no issue while starting his car back to home. So, what he said is like his car is allergic to vanilla ice cream. So, Ford engineers they came in. So, the thing is like try to see, like he has made a contextual thing between the engine and the ice cream. He's saying the engine is allergic to vanilla ice cream. So the thing is like at that point of time, when Ford engineers came in, they found like the engine needs some time to cool down, and the place where from where he is actually purchasing the vanilla ice cream is very short distance from his home. So the engine is not getting adequate time to cool down. So immediately when he is trying to start the engine, it is not getting started. Whereas like if he's willing to purchase some other flavor ice cream, he has to uh, move to some other place by parking his car for a longer time. And after coming back to car, the car gets adequate time to cool down and starts immediately. So the thing is like it is how like the context was drawn between the flavor of the ice cream and the engine. So this is how the issue was also detected, like the engine needs some time to cool down. So that is how like the context was drawn. So this is how the context mapping is happening. Thanks a lot. We'll look into